Yo, what's good, y'all? And welcome back to another Spirits video. So, we have not looked at Modern in a pretty long time. I think it's actually been like, what, 2 months or something like that? Sorry. But, here we are. And the meta has shifted to be really fast lately. So, let's go ahead and take a look and see what we would actually expect to be playing against. So, we got a bunch of Uro piles, and that's going to be all like Urza plus Uro, Stoneforge plus Uro, Icefang Coatl plus Uro. It goes well with everything. Uro's insane, we all know this. After that, though, the format gets super fast. So we've got two different Soulscar Mage decks in both black-red and blue-red. We've got Amulet Titan, which, thanks to the Dryad, is still really fast. Jund, Panza, Dredge, Tron, all your normal turn 3, turn 4 things, minus Jund, which is still Jund, that hasn't changed. Blue-white, regular Burn, which is just like, Eidolon and friends. White-green, which I think Goldfish messed up. So I think they put both the Primeval Titan decks that are just white and green in here with like Eladamri's Call and stuff, and the Court of Calling Devoted Devastation decks. I think they put those both under the green-white filter, so whoops on them, but we suck against both, so I still don't mind like putting them under the red circles. And then of course Ad Nauseam, which is good, but is very free for us. And now that we know what we're playing against, let's go ahead and check out our main. We've got full 4 copies of Path to Exile because just Soulscar Mage and friends will kill you quickly if you are not ready for them. So we put in the 4th copy of Path to Exile so that we can be prepared for those really fast matchups and then slow it down, win our games in the air, and by protecting our own creatures when we can. We've also got 3 Spectral Sailors in the main so that we can keep up with racing our opponents. We've got Thalia, which has been good forever. I love her, she's great. That hasn't changed. And instead of trying to play any copies of Force Negation, because, like, did you see all the decks? Like, Force Negation is good against, what, 2 of these? Like, it's fine against Dredge sometimes. It's good against Tron. It's fine against Blue-White. And everything else here, we don't really need it, so why? Instead, we're playing 3 copies of Shacklegeist, which both help us to establish our clock just by virtue of being another creature, and it helps to tap down their important things, like attacking prowess creatures like Stormwing Entity and Friends. It helps to tap down like Primeval Titans so that even though they get their initial trigger, we're not just getting bodied by it. It helps a lot. And everything else is just regular standard fare here. So we've got like Rattle Chain, Supreme Phantoms, Drog Skull Captains, Kira, because I love her, so ×2, and Spell Queller. Normal stuff here. Our board, however, is where all, I guess, the fun stuff lives. So we've got 3 copies of Chalice of the Void because all of those Soulscar Mage decks are going to body us. So we have Chalice of the Void to help mitigate that. So like Lava Dart no longer is better than our entire deck. All of their really good attacking stuff costs 1. Like Stormwing Entity is annoying, but if they can't like cast the supporting spells, who cares? And we got Ceremonious Rejection because even though E-Tron wasn't anywhere on this list, regular Tron is, and we still would like to be prepared because somebody will still try to kill us with Thought-Knot-Seers. So we've got 3 copies of that in there just for when that does show up. Grafdigger's Cage is still our graveyard X of choice because we still have Moorland Haunt, so we don't want to play like Rest in Peace and body our own stuff. Remorseful Cleric is, I think, a little too slow for Modern to be able to fight against Dredge. And Beckon Apparition like isn't as good here as it is in Pioneer because we don't have 1 card at a time we're looking to target. We just want to like stop them from doing all the stuff. And also that specifically helps against like Collected Company and Finale of Devastation too, which is going to end up probably coming up at least once. So we've got Celestial Purge, 3 copies of Aether Gust because Primeval Titan is all over the place. We suck against that deck. We need the help. But a Celestial Purge is really good because it also helps against things like Death Shadow. So we just want to have our 3-1 split here. This may end up going to a 4th copy of Aether Gust if Primeval Titan sticks around the format much longer. But I think for now this is what I like, especially since almost no amount of Aether Gusting is going to help us against Primeval Titan anyway. Like, we really suck there. 2 copies of Mystical Dispute rounds out the rest of the board. I don't know that Mystical Dispute is really all that good anymore, even with Uro and Icefang Coatl still being the top deck in the format with almost 10% of people playing it. I'm playing 2 Disputes, but I don't know how relevant that's going to be. So, I don't know, to be continued. But that's what we're playing today. And as usual, now that we know what's in here, we're going to go ahead, jam ourselves a lovely 5-match league, and then see what we got. Alright, so we got round 1, game 1. We did not win the die roll, but our hand is actually not bad. So we've got 1, 2, 3 lands, including one of each color that we need, a couple of paths, Thalia, and one of these is a Moreland Haunt, which is really nice. So we could stand to have more creatures in our draw, but overall this isn't bad. So let's go ahead and see what they do. Oh, it's humans. Right. So this is actually going to end up being probably really good for us because, like, we're good against humans, and 2 Path to Exile is pretty lit anyway. So, like, they're down to 2 cards in hand. And really all we need to do is be able to contain, like, 2 cards. So that should be relatively easy for us. And a freebooter, we don't really want to path that because we have 2 paths, so who cares? They can have that. So let's go ahead here. Not bother taking the 4. And the reason we didn't path like the Kite Sail freebooter is because, like, don't get me wrong, like it's there and it's annoying a little bit, but like we don't actually care that much. And realistically, if we start establishing our board, we'll be able to make them start using this on defense rather than offense anyway. So now we get to just use our Spell Queller, back it up with a Violed Rattle Chains in case they try to participate. And sure, we'll take 3 here, but we're only going to 17. They have 1 card left, and we got a bunch of cool stuff to do. So, like, this is actually just a really good look for us overall. Yeah, so now we get to just start attacking and winning this race. They're up to 2 cards, but, like, if any of what they're trying to do is named, like, I don't know, Reflector Mage or any mess like that, then we just have 2 choices to protect our stuff with, and life is pretty bad for just them. Yeah, we don't really care about that. We'll take our 3. Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, so this is dope here. So even if they, like, try to do a bunch of stuff here, we've got Rattle Chains to protect. So, yeah. So that's just going to do a bunch of hot nothing, unfortunately, for them. Okay. But our Vial's already on 3, so even that doesn't really do anything. So we get to go ahead, protect our Spell Queller. They get to just try to potentially do something, but honestly, no. Thalia's going to jump in front just so that we have access to a creature from Moreland Haunt, because honestly, we're not doing anything with it. Yeah. So, like, that was just a bunch of really, really good stuff for us, even though they had effectively triple Reflector Mage. Like, we just do not care sometimes. So, game 1 goes to us, and let's check out game 2 against humans. Alright, so we are up a game against humans, and our hand is hot garbage. This one is less bad, but still bad. And, like, Mystical Dispute, honestly, is here just because, like, Thalia really sucks, and as we saw earlier, we don't really have too much stuff to board in against humans. Like, in other versions of the deck, we've played things like Deputy Detention in the board, like Settle the Wreckage and stuff like that, but here, our board against humans is a little sad, but the matchup overall is so good that I don't know that I care to fix that problem. Like, okay. Oh, they kept a 1-lander. Right. Okay. So, yeah, so if they're going to keep 1-landers for us, then we care even less. Like, even though they got the Vial start, them keeping a 1-lander when we have multiple creatures and a Path to Exile, this is just going to be a very who cares kind of scenario. Oh, that's not bad. So here we just get to start going ahead, swinging on them real quick, and if they start trying to participate in, like, racing us, like, yes, we have a path, but who cares about Thalia otherwise? Yeah. So this is fine. Even if they Reflector Mage it, and they don't, yikes. So now we get to just really start winning this race. General Kudro, I don't know that we care about Kudro. So what are we taking? 6 here? Going down to 11. That's okay. Ooh, a Spectral. That's not bad. So let's see what they do here. A Plague Engineer, okay. So we're going to use this chance to establish double Drog Skull. and then that thing's definitely got to go. So they're just going to go ahead, take their 7, go down to 6, and their job now is to really solve the problem of not being able to target our creatures and losing a race in the air. So, yeah, like, at this point, really, what can you do? So they're going to go here, and that's actually really funny there. Because we had the Mystical Dispute for that fantastical image. And thanks to us being tapped out, we never really got to use it, but luckily, who cares? But still a pretty funny aside that that's a thing. So I'm glad at least a scenario for the dispute came up where we could have used it, but LOL. Yeah. So we have a Shackle Geist and a Spectral Sailor, so we're not very concerned about what else they really could have here. Yeah, the only thing that pumps is the Kudro itself, so we don't really need to do anything about this Lieutenant. So this is fine. Now we're going to just like tap the General Kudro, and they tried to violate a Deputy, but like everything we have is hexproof, so that doesn't do anything. So yeah, that's just going to be game for us. So yeah, a pretty easy 2-0 win against humans, even though our sideboard spot got kind of wasted here. But as we saw, this stuff like this is exactly why I wasn't really concerned about fixing our sideboard against humans, because the matchup is so good we almost don't really need one. But still, yeah, good stuff to us. So we're 1-0 in our league, and let's continue. Alright, so we got round 2. We just won round 1 against humans. So round 2, we lose the die roll, but our hand is not that bad. We got a couple of 2-drops, a Path to Exile, Akira, which is fantastic. And yeah, let's see what happens here. So Mountain goes a little weird, but alright. Let's see if we're playing against Blitz, if we're playing against... Well, I don't remember what we're playing against. But, oh, crap. Yes, I do. Alright. So, we are playing against Blood Moon, and our hand is mono, non-basics. Nice life, us. Alright. So, unfortunately, we drew the Flooded Strand after the Blood Moon and not before. If this was able to get us a basic Mountain, then this is probably a lot easier of a game than it currently looks like it's going to be. But let's try for a couple more draw steps and, see what happens. Season Pyro. Alright, that's annoying, but fine. We do get an Aether Vial, so let's see if we can actually play some Magic in the meantime. Alright, so we take our 4, we cry about it, whatever, that's fine, that happens. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, so we're just going to pack this one up, because even though they're stuck on 2 lands, if we're just not going to be able to play Magic, then I really don't see us getting too much out of like what I would call garbage time. So I'm going to steal that one from Hooglin real quick. But yeah, so we lose game 1 against Mono Red Prison here, but let's see what happens for the rest. Alright, so we are definitely down a game against what I assume is just your standard Scred Mono Red Prison deck. But yeah, let's see if we can... Honestly, I think this is fine. Like, we do have a basic, which is nice. If we draw, like, any white source, then our hand is super good, but having 1, 2, 3 1-drops and the basic land to play them all against a Blood Moon deck is probably where we want to be in life, especially since 2 of them actively protect against Anger of the Gods. So we do keep this. It's greedy, but we keep in it. Okay. What do we got going on? A Blood Moon against our basic. We don't care. Especially since they used a card to do it. Nice. So, that Drogskull is not the land we wanted, but whatever. Now I'm wondering what they're playing here. So they were probably wondering whether they wanted to like Anger the Gods or Sweltering Suns or whatever the spell of choice is at us. So here, instead of playing Spectral Sailor and getting in for 4, we're just going to get in for 2, see if they try to play like land plus Anger the Gods, and if so, we can flash in this so that it costs 2 to counter here instead of 1. And that's actually fine. So now we're out of 1-drop, so the chalice no longer matters. If we draw a land, then we can just like jam this and start going for it. But like, what we wanted to do was, if they had like Anger of the Gods, then we could at least have made it cost 2 extra instead of 1 extra. And still not the land we wanted, but honestly, they're not really doing anything yet. So I don't know that I'm full complaining yet. And the good part here is that the land doesn't even need to be a plains, even though we would love that. It just needs to be a land for these Supreme Phantoms, and honestly, it's good enough against the hot nothing. They seem to... Hey, look at us go. So we got the 1 basic plains in the deck, which is, of course, a great life. But any land would have sufficed there. So we're going to make them take, what, 8? Yeah. Alright, so they go all the way down to 5. And now they got a pretty big problem to solve. And they can't solve it. So, sweet. So that's going to be us, even with our relatively greedy 1-lander. Whoops. But let's move on to game 3 and see what happens. Alright, so now we are on game 3 against Mono Red Prison here. And what do we got here? So, we don't have Blood Moon proof lands currently, but we do have a Vial, we have an Aether Gust, we have things to do. So against cards other than Blood Moon, we're pretty good. And actually no, that's false. Against cards other than Blood Moon, we're really good. And against cards named Blood Moon, we are still kind of good because it is Aether Gust. So I think I like what's happening here. Alright, so what do we got going on here? Oh, hey, 1-drop. Sweet. So now we have something more on time to do with our Vial next turn, because if they try to say, like, I don't know, play just the land next turn instead of having a ritual, they can, I don't know, do something that's not named Blood Moon. Maybe they Chalice here? Oh, they nothing here. Alright. I like that even better. So, like, not casting a Braid on the Aether Vial and a, look at that, basic. So we're going to play this basic last because we actively want them to try to play Blood Moon. Oh, that's going to get a hell no. Okay. So let's not get Emrakul out of this game. But, like, if they were going to try to, like, Blood Moon us, then we could either have Aether Gusted that, or just known that we had this basic island chilling in the back, and then let Aether Vial do the work of casting our 2 3-drops. And here, we're still not going to tell them that we actually have access to this lovely blue source. Instead, we're just going to let them, like, just basically flail about for now. Yeah, so here we're just going to cast all of the things. And they very clearly don't have an Abrade because they would have already used it on our Aether Vial. So here we can just make them try their best to defend against what we got going on. And if they can, so be it. And if not, then we just win by a lot. Also, having this Mausoleum Wanderer right here for the Through the Breach that we already know about is super gas for us. So here we're just going to Spell Queller that. Yeah. And they're going to go ahead and pack it up in the face of that Spell Queller. So that's actually really nice because we only had 10 points of damage here, not 12. But still, the fact that they were just, their only real plan right here looks like just, you know, Through the Breach and try to Emrakul us out. We had this as a kind of surprise to not care about that anyway, even if this did find a way to resolve. But yeah, no, that was actually really sick because against things that are just not named like all of the removal, sometimes your plan just isn't really good enough against the protection spells that we have for all of our cool stuff. So yeah, good stuff to us, and we are 2-0 now. Alright, so we got round 3 against Connor Man. I don't know why I keep clicking yes like I'm in an actual game. I know this is a replay. So yeah, so our opponent's going to be a little pleasant. Hi, good luck. I say thanks, you too, whatever. So we got alright going on here. So we got a couple of 2-drops, we got Vials, we have the ability to get a basic in case we're playing against Ponza or another prison deck like we had last time. We got Moreland Haunt in case it's against a slow matchup. But they did mull to 5, so almost no matter what happens here, we're still relatively happy. Okay. Okay, so we do get our lovely Island plus Vial, and Rift Bolt is what's suspended. Okay. So we're playing against just regular old, here's 3 damage at a time burn. And they're actually going to point that right to our face. So we've gone to 13. Ooh, that's nice. So we are a fan of the Wanderer. Yeah, this is not a good look for our opponent here. So the reason we're going to hold the Supreme Phantom back is in case their draw is like land plus Searing Blaze, and they point it at the Supreme Phantom. Now we can protect the other one with this one. But yeah, so if they're going to mulligan that deep though, then there's really just not much point to holding all of that back. We're just going to try to get rid of them, and it looks like that's going to work. So yeah, so that's game 1. Alright, so we got round 3. We're in game 2 against Burn. We are up a game, and our hand is actually gas for being a 1-lander. So we got the Vial, we got a couple of 1-drops to go with that Vial, we got a couple of good 2-drops, again, to go with that Vial. And if shit gets real, we got this Aether Gust too, so I am all the way here for whatever's happening. Okay, so we're going to take our 1. We're not going to like it, but we're going to take it. And okay, here's a Swiss Spear, here's an Eidolon, okay. So the cool thing about them having an Eidolon, look at us go, that land. About this Eidolon that they have is that we already have the Vial that we really need. So if they start like casting stuff at us, Goblin Guide's not even that bad. So we're gonna get a Wanderer. We don't really want to do anything about that. We're not going to cast this. We're also not really going to attack yet because they definitely have a bigger board presence than we do. Okay, and they want to keep the Eidolon on the table. Ooh, yes! We are Lightning Helixing my face. Okay. So we're just going to let that happen because they clearly want the Prowess trigger. That's whatever. So that's going to be a 3/3, and they need to cast another spell here. So they're going to get really sad now, because what we're going to just do here is we're going to protect that with our Rattle Chains. We are going to take the 2 for the Eidolon and go down to 10. But not only is this spell not going to hit the Supreme Phantom, but this is going to turn into a 4/4. And that's going to be bigger than the Swiss Spear. So this card that they have left as their last card straight up needs to be another spell, otherwise they are just getting bodied. So there's a 4/4. Path gets dunked. So now they just lose their guy, and yeah, we're gonna take 2 more damage for playing the Spectral Sailor, but now we have a very real clock, and there's not gonna be a lot that they can do offensively, because like, well, that kind of sucks. Like, we drew to Thalia when the only thing they really, yeah. Alright. So now that we're at 5, we do want to be a little careful with casting exactly 1 more spell, but thanks to Thalia and Mausoleum Wanderer, the ability for them to resolve 2 spells here before we can kill them is super unlikely. Yeah, so now they're going to take 2 for trying to cast it, and then we're going to counter it, and they're still going to take their 3, so they're going to 5. And now they have to get spells to resolve through us before we actually do anything here. So that's going to be our block. Here we're just going to get rid of the Goblin Guide with Thalia, and whether or not it had first strike, who cares? We just wanted to not take this damage. But here, because we have the Aether Vial, we actively want this Eidolon to still be on the table and hurt them. So yeah, so they packed it up here, and that's going to be 3-0 for us so far, so looking great. Alright, so we got round 4 going on here, and we're playing against Toast XP. I have seen that name before. Our hand's not that bad either. Shit. Alright, so maybe our hand is bad. The hand that we specifically have here is actually pretty good against most decks, but like against this, we are absolutely about to get wrecked. This is really the only matchup that I absolutely hate in Modern, and yeah, this is just super not going well. Like, don't get me wrong, we do have some game against it. We can play Magic, but it's just not pretty. there's really just like no part of this that I actively enjoy ever. So we at least get to start attacking in the air. We can start doing stuff. If this vial gets to 3, then there's actually a lot of participating that we can do. But both not being able to cast this path and not really having that much of a clock on the table currently means that I'm not really enjoying what's happening here. I'll be honest, I don't know why they didn't attack us for 2, but oh well. Like, they should have attacked us to 2 to get us specifically to 18 for all of this Valakut nonsense they're about to try to do to us. But if we're being completely honest, I don't think it's going to end up mattering anyway. So let's go ahead, tick our vial up to 3 so that we can keep doing things. Okay. So, yeah, this is bad. So Draw Skull's gonna protect our one guy here, but like, yeah, if what they're doing is gonna end up being a Primeval Titan, then we're already just extra dead. Like, there's just not much we can do about what's happening here. And woof, look at that. So realistically, we could have gone ahead and like played Kira, but all 6 of these are just gonna go to our dome anyway. We're gonna go down to 2, and our opponent. And this is why I said that they should have attacked us last turn anyway. So they had to land here, and it doesn't really matter, so we're just, like, getting dead. But we could have already just died to those 6 in the first place. So they did leave a little damage on the table, but against us, that just did not matter because we're beyond extra dead. So, unfortunately for us, we are down a game, but let's try to come back. Alright, so we got round 4, and we are in game 2. We're currently down a game against Primeval Titan, but let's see what we're working with here. So we don't really have an Aether Gust, which is probably, or Aether Gust, an Aether Vial, which is one thing that makes us a little bit sad, but we got a Path to Exile, we got the lands to play stuff, we got a 2-drop, we got a 3-drop, so we are going to rock this and hope that we get another blue source for this Kira, but otherwise, this ain't that bad. I mean, it's bad, but it could be a lot worse. Okay. And there's our blue source for the Kira. And now we are a little sad-faced specifically about going to 18 because that's one of the Magic Valakut numbers. But, like, this is still fine. Like, we still have Kira. We still have a Spell Queller here. They did already land the Amulet, which is a little bit of a sad face, but, like, okay. So we're going to see how much good Kira does us here. But, like, this is real dangerous territory. Like, them just getting to cast their Primeval and do stuff here is not a good look for us. So here, what we're going to want to do is cast Path to Exile with that Primeval Titan trigger on the stack. That way, they don't necessarily get to do things like, say they have, like, a Dryad already on the table and a Valakut. Or, sorry, no Valakut yet. So the basic land they would get from this comes before the lands for these, and that's really important so that we don't just get bodied by like a Valakut. Here it doesn't necessarily matter, but it's still good practice to do so. So let's go ahead, Path now, see what they get off of their Primeval Titan triggers. Okay, so they're just going to get like a crap ton of blue and green sources so that they can, like, I don't know, use this and friends and do other stuff. And yeah, so now they got a ton of lands. The only real upside here is that 2 of them are sharing a name, so like this Field of the Dead isn't necessarily good yet. Another Summoner's Pact, though, that really sucks for us. Yeah, this is just not a good look. So we're gonna do the same thing again. So now they're going to get their Field of the Dead lands. I'm actually a little surprised they chose another Simic Growth Chamber because they could have had more zombies here. I don't know that they don't have, like, I don't know, 1 green-red or 1 green-white or something bounce land just for this. Probably not. But either way, like, they still have 5 cards in hand. We do have a clock, but it could be a little better. So we could just very well end up dead anyway, because all they really need to work with is like a Dryad and a Valakut. So we're at least currently not dead, but I don't know, this is scary. But like, luckily we did have the 2 copies of Path to Exile so that we're not just dying or unable to attack to the Primeval Titans themselves, but like, this is still just not exactly where we want to be in life. Also of note, since they have a Growth Chamber trigger on a stack here, they could just like bounce this and play another copy of Summoner's Pact. So like, that could be pretty scary. I'm a little confused as to what they're doing / why it's taking so long too, so. What do we got going on here? Oh, I conceded. Okay, that makes sense too. Yeah, because with 5 cards in hand, and they already had the 2 mana floating, they could tap this for a blue, bounce it, and then transmute immediately for more copies of either another Primeval Titan or a copy of Dryad. So yeah, so okay, so this is where I concede, because this game is super ugly looking for us, which is unfortunate. But hey, we're still 3-1, so let's go ahead and salvage this next round. Hopefully, we can go 4-1 in our league. All right, what up? We got our 5th and final round here. So we lost a die roll against somebody who's just named Stream, which, well, Rutroll Raggy, that's a little scary. But our hand is a Cavern, White Land, another White Land, which is fine. But we got this Aether Vial here. I'm not mad at it. Let's see what we got. Polluted Delta. Watery Grave. That is probably Death Shadow. Whoa, but hold up. They just took... Yeah, they took Path to Exile instead of Aether Vial. So their hand's probably going to end up being pretty fast then. Yeah. Also, I'm going to take these 2 seconds to quick shout out Sprite Dragon, because I absolutely love this card. And I really just want more of an excuse to be able to play this more often. Like, this card is dope. I don't want to switch to this deck because I don't like this deck, but I do want to play Sprite Dragon on purpose. Well, that's not a good look for us. Alright. Let's see what we get here. Is it good? That's fine. Could be better. Aha, take that one. Alright, so we're going to take at least 8 here. Go down to 7? Yes, 7. Alright, so we get a Supreme Phantom. That's not great. Oh no. Are we getting Fatal pushed out of the game? We're getting Fatal pushed out of the game. Alright. So that's going to be game 1, and they did get an ultra fast start, which is pretty dope for them. Luckily, this is another one of those matches where like the Chalice Voids that we have in the board are pretty good. And I don't know that this is really worth boarding in like the Mystical Disputes, but Chalices are dope. And we also have that random Celestial Purge, which is nice against this and Shadow. So, alright, we can do this. Alright, so we got round 5. We're in game 2 against Death Shadow. We are down a game, but our hand here is actually pretty dope. We got a 1-drop, a 2-drop, a Path to Exile. It's not necessarily the best against like Thoughtseize Inquisition, but okay. Also, they just, you know, don't have it, which is even better. Well, that's fine. We don't care about that so much. Okay. Here's that. You can Inquisition us, but joke's on you, our hand kind of sucks. So, ooh, Rattle Chains is nice. So we do need a lot of help from this hand to be a lot more playable, because their deck is a lot more spell dense than our deck is. But this boy, whoop, whoop. Yeah, this is the stuff we like to see. So if they're just not gonna have copy of like Kolaghan's Command, then fantastic. but like, okay, fine. Sure, so they're going to go down to 9, and we can afford a couple of attacks from this, even if they try to use most of their turn casting a copy of, like, Teamer Battle Rage, then that still uses all of their mana thanks to Thalia. So, yeah, like, this is still mostly fine. Another Gurmag Angler is much less fine. Blech. So, here this is not really pretty at all. But if they're only going to attack with one of our guys and not have anything to say about this, that is a little better for us. But that doesn't do anything. Okay. I think they figured that out a little late. So yeah, so that's gonna be game here. So Drog Skull plus Shacklegeist is lethal damage, and they can't really cast like Fatal Push or anything or Lightning Bolt here. So yeah, that's gonna be game 2, and let's keep it moving to game 3. Alright, so we got round 5, game 3 against Death Shadow. Them being on the play, that clearly hits a little bit different. So we're gonna see what's up here. And that hand's trash. This hand is not trash, but not good either. Moreland Haunt is actually a pretty big deal against these guys. So that's really nice. Also, so is no discard spell. Okay. So this isn't bad either. So if this survives in our hand until turn 3 and we get the land to play it, excuse me, then Kira is insano against them. Okay. Alright. So let's go ahead and get rid of the Sprite Dragon before it gets out of hand, but also, importantly, before it becomes a 4/4. That way they don't have access to Stubborn Denial. Hey, look at us go. So not giving them free access to Stubborn Denial is a pretty big deal. Alright, Thoughtseize away the Kira, Fatal Push away the Supreme Phantom, and this isn't even all that bad though. So like, we already have access to the Moreland Haunt, so like, if they're just going to hold up a bunch of removal spells, then we're just going to keep generating our free creatures. And even though they're just 1/1s, they're still effectively free cards when they're busy doing nothing. So this is actually exactly where we want to be. Yeah, so like, Brazen Borrower is pretty decent obviously, but not like just the best against this. And now if they try to like cast something else at one of these guys, we can just use our Rattle Chains. So this is actually a really good look for us. Although I do like Brazen Borrower from them. So not the land we wanted, but whatever. Okay, we're fetching. What are we fetching for? A Dismember. Yeah, that's gonna suck. Okay, and the part that they don't know here is that that's actually fine. So they're going to pay for that. We're going to let that happen because we can't do anything about it. But Supreme Phantom is still going to live, which is the important part here. Alright. What was that? A Go for the Throat. Okay. So, once again, we still have things to do about all of their stuff, and we just got refueled for our copy of Moreland Haunt. So, if we can just, like, keep this clear, that's fine. I'm actually really surprised at that Cling to Dust they just cast. They removed a Path to Exile and not a creature to gain life. So that is probably going to backfire on them pretty hard, since our life total is not really under pressure, and theirs is. So I think that was just honestly a pretty bad job of prioritizing what they're supposed to be doing there. But here, yeah, we just have a Spell Queller, and now it's going to be able to be protected by this Rattle Chains too. So even if they do have like this plus another Fatal Push or something, we don't really care. And okay, and that's where they pack it up. So great job to all of our creatures for being able to help protect each other and themselves. And yeah, so that's going to be 4-1 in our league. Even though our deck is probably a little too slow for the current meta, we can definitely see how it still fights quite a bit against what the format is doing. And the Primeval Titan matchup, honestly, that's whatever. That's just one of those decks that when you play Modern and you play any deck, you just understand when you play Modern that you're going to sacrifice some matchups by playing something. And Primeval Titan has always been one of those matchups that I've just been willing to sacrifice, knowing that our deck sucks against them, in favor of trying to fight more against other matchups that we'll probably see either more often or just have like a wider range of things that we can protect against. For example, we had like the Chalice of the Void to protect against the Burn deck that we saw earlier and this Death Shadow deck that we're seeing now. Like we have the Aether Gusts, which do help against them, but also have the better upside of helping protect against like the Burn decks, the Ponza lists, the Mono Red Prison thing that we saw earlier. Like the Mystical Disputes that help protect against more than one deck at the same time. So our sideboard did a lot of good work for us, and our main deck plan of just here's some creatures that generate tempo, let's attack you before you can kill me, is still really good, as we saw in the humans matchup. We had virtually no human sideboard, and because all of our stuff flew and their stuff didn't, it didn't matter that we didn't have a sideboard, we just killed them dead anyway. So I still like the way our deck is positioned within the metagame, and I'm honestly looking forward to playing that a lot more this month. So thanks all for watching. If you do like watching the Spirits content, make sure to like and subscribe so that you know when I put more videos up, and I will see y'all next time.